everybody, this is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report, the Scoop News. Wanted to talk a little bit about an email I put out. And it's in regards to Sharkies and their new proposal. And a couple corrections, because video seems to do a little bit more. I did write an article about the Holic out there in his smoked business, which he reports is making in over $180,000. Basically, from what I can tell, his only client is Snookhaven, which is also owned by the owner of Sharkies and Fins. Brought that to everybody's attention because at the time, Holic was in there pushing hard for this parking lot. He was noticeably upset, and I think I attached a video on that article I wrote. That the funding, that it wasn't being pushed through. And then he found out the funding was dropped, which even upset him more. And then the Pacotas came up with a proposal, and I call him Mike Pacota. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. And I thought, well, maybe it's not a bad idea, and here is why. I was against the parking lot. I was against spending that money. There's no need for parking, really, out there. And the whole concept was to put the parking south of Sharky's to help alleviate parking problems downtown. For the life of me, I can't figure out how that's going to happen. And I think most people caught on to that too. The problem is, we've already spent, according to the finance director, over $100,000 on this project. That's the first issue. The second thing is you have people like Earl Kimmel, and I'm sure Earl's a good guy, but he watches the same meetings I do. And he came up and said, look, this proposal, they knew this was happening, so they took that money that was allocated for the parking lot and moved it elsewhere. No, they didn't. If you watch the meetings, it was a total surprise. Holic found out about it. Nobody knew that the funding had been taken away. The finance director then came up and said, well, yeah, we took it away because you guys put the parking on hold and we needed the money over here. Otherwise, it wasn't going to be budgeted. We would have to come back to you. So they moved the money allocated it over to different projects. And that's how the funding got taken away. And it was a surprise to everybody. And that was weeks prior to anybody having any knowledge that Mike was going to present this plan. Last week, I believe it was, Holic sent out an email saying, hey, look, Mike with Sharkies wants 10 minutes. He wants to propose something. Now, at that time, people may have known about it. But for Earl to sit there and say, well, you know what, they took the money and allocated it elsewhere because they knew the owners of Sharkies were going to come up with this, that is not accurate. Okay. So they came up with the plan, and it's a good plan. We're at the point right now where we've already spent $100,000 on it. Parking is an issue there. If you go there on a weekend, or especially during tourist season, it's parked there. It's packed. All right, so I could see how the parking would help. Would the parking benefit Sharkies? Yeah, I think Justin came out and said, yeah, it's going to benefit us, and that's why we're all for it. But here's what they're doing, something they don't have to do. They're giving $100,000 towards that now. And they're giving the city an interest-free loan on $300,000, which is going to save them a ton of money. We've already lost $100,000 that they put into consultants and everything. So it's a project that obviously has to move forward. And the other thing, too, is that was a concern. They didn't know if it was legitimate or not, that the contractor who had the agreement to move forward may seek legal action by the city canceling it out at the last minute. So basically, that's where I stand. Oh, yeah, one other issue with the barbecuing thing. John is right. When he says, look, I'm going to recuse myself, he should recuse himself. So he told Ed Martin, I'm going to recuse myself. I'm out of here. The rest of the stuff, doing the little lie and banter and previously having the ex-mayor thrown out, that's just a pissing match between those two individuals. And we just got to look beyond that. Anything related to the Pacotas and their ownership of Fins, Sharkies, or Snookhaven, John Holic definitely should not be involved. He should be recused. So possibly should be Gates. Gates had, I believe, a business at one point with Mike, and they have close ties with the people of Sharkies. And so that's something that should be looked at. I'm not saying yeah right now, but it's something that should be considered. So I applaud John in recusing himself, the Mayor Holic. I wish he wouldn't be so childish on his emails to back and forth with the former mayor of Venice, which he often is. And the city probably needs to take that project because it's a project that's gonna move forward. It has to now. We've already, like I said, already spent over $100,000. There is a need for parking out there. I think more people would go there if they knew they could park. That's one of the reasons I don't go there, is because there's never any parking. So I tend to stay away. Valid points and all. So I wanted to put that out there and say so. Good thing Ed Martin for keeping the politicians honest. Good thing on John Houck for recusing himself. Awesome for Justin, his dad, and I think the other brothers, Nick, for putting together a pretty good proposal on something that unfortunately has to move forward. Now, like I said, though, I want to recap. I was against this before. I knew they spent $100,000 already on it and some other stuff. So this has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Scoop News.